Alrighty, folks, you and I need to help the one and only and great Brian Adamson. He's had something gnawing at him since last week, and he wanted to share it with me, which means he wants to share it with you. Alrighty, buddy, what's been on your mind?
Yeah, I'm here for my therapy session, Mike. You know what I mean?
It's your
But
turn. It's your
yeah,
turn.
I'm so grateful. So I don't know if you got this problem or not, Mike, but I got the tendency of liking to be right about things, right? You know what I mean? Like I don't say a lot, but when I say something, I typically like to be right about it. And what's interesting though is in life and especially in business, it's important that we have people around us that challenges our thinking, that ask questions that are thought provoking, that can identify our blind spots, right? And I think even more important than even those things, that we have the right who's doing the right hows,
Oh,
right? So if they are the expert in what they do and own their part, then it's important for us as the leader, when at all possible, to just get out of their way and let them do it, right? And I had a situation Friday, I think it was, where we've added a new team member and she is very spunky. Let me just tell you, okay? And I had to I had to really check my pride because the things that so it is when we build our babies, which are our businesses, right? It's sometimes gut wrenching when somebody comes in on day 2013 and you've been doing this since day one, right? And
right.
so
Yeah,
their
yeah.
only purview is from the vantage point in which they started, which is that day. And so you try to, give them the whole horizon as to where this thing started and where it's at now. But the truth of the matter is, I had to check myself because the things that she was recommending and suggesting, although came off a little bit crass and I was sensitive to it, what she was saying was right. And
Oh,
the thing that I like more than being right is moving in the right direction. And
exactly.
so, I had to internalize, hold on, is what she's saying really the problem? Or am how I am receiving it really the problem? And how I was receiving it and internalizing it was really the problem. And I had to have a come to Jesus moment with myself, man. So I'll kind of start there and let you go.
I there's so much in this. This is a conversation I love. And I really go back to when I was building products from 0 to 100 million. When you take something from 0 to 100 million, there's really kind of three inflection points. Different buyers, different sales strategies, different hows, different whys. The person who buys the first 5 million is not the same person that buys the 95th million, right? Early adopters, late. It's just different. And when you're building a business, which I've done that 3 times now, and you don't anticipate or respect the inflection point,
Mhm.
you'll just you'll top out because there's only so many buyers that buy that way. The message, it's just, and I can tell you the first time I uncovered those, it was it was nothing less than painful
Mhm.
because I had taken something from 0 to probably, I don't know, 18, maybe 19 million bucks, hit every quarter, had the references, it was clicking, but couldn't we couldn't break out. And we were stuck for, I don't know, probably 3 quarters when I finally realized, and it wasn't me, but it was basically I had to get people around me that were at that next level, right? They had taken something from, call it 15 to 50.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. They came in and they kicked some sand and, they did these things and they didn't understand. But I had to look at myself going, they're right. Right. All that heavy lifting, all of that badge of honor, all of that blood, sweat, and tears that got us to 19. Is it, more of that doesn't get us to 50. The buyers changed, the values changed, the packaging just changed. You got to have, true support, maintenance and support. You've
Mhm.
just, all of these things changed. And man, the first time that happened wasn't fun. The second time was, it wasn't great, but by the third time you start to anticipate it. You're like, I look forward to that day because I like 50 million more than I like 19 million. But yeah, dude, that first time, oh, that was so painful.
Yeah, yeah. And I think so many people can relate to this conversation, even if they aren't in business,
Yeah.
because two different things. I'll start with business and then go to personal. So the first thing I'll say in business, and this is where I think, and I was actually out talking to God on the prayer walk about this yesterday, just
Okay.
having a lot of self-reflection on the week and myself personally. And I'm grateful for my maturation because as I sit here today at 40, I can't say that I would have responded the same way even at 37 or 35, to be quite honest, right? I'm more secure in who I am now to
Right.
where I can discern that the intent of the message was good, although the way in which it was presented may have not been exactly the way that I would want it to, right? Like I'm secure enough to where I'm
Yeah.
like, whatever, like let's all harmoniously move in the right direction.
Right.
The other side to that, though, is when you have new people come into your organization, you also do have to be sensitive to making sure that they're not just somebody that's being combative and um, that they're not, just you got some people that literally want to come in, be the superstar,
Yep.
and essentially just bash and tear down everything that you've done. And so there's a fine line between discerning, what the intent is behind the behavior and action. And at the core of it, I know that this young lady means well. She's new to the culture and like it's all for the greater good. But we have to also be sensitive as leaders, as business owners, to make sure you're not allowing people in that can be anti-culture and could tear everything down as you're trying to build it. And so on a personal side, though, I think that we got to be very careful from back to what we talked about, Mike, before with environment, that you don't have a bunch of yes people around you
Oh, yes.
because what I figured out that there's three different reasons as to why people are yes men in your life. The first one is they're too coward to tell you the things that are really in your best interest. Okay. The second reason is they're oblivious and lack the wherewithal to be able to tell you the things that are in your best interest. And lastly, they actually like to see you self-destruct. And so they don't want to tell you the things that are in your best interest. Like we
Oh,
have Judas's
yes.
next to us that we don't realize. And
Yeah.
so, I think for even those that may not be in business watching this, Mike, on a personal side, that everybody needs to be leaned in and start identifying those people that make them feel good and secure because they always encouraging them, whether good or bad behavior, that they really start to discern why it is that they're willing to do that for them and to them.
Yeah. This idea of yes, man. I think you've heard me say this, and I'll say it 100 more times. A lot of people have to fire some of their friends. They're not really friends. They're Judas. They're pulling you down when you want to change. And just connecting these two thoughts is if if you want to be in shape, be around in shape people. If you want to be a millionaire, be around millionaires. If you want
Yeah.
to be, God fearing, be around God fearing. I mean, just whatever your thing is, be around that. And I would tell you to seek it out, right? If you want to be like, if your friends are all, I don't know, we'll pick, I used to run miles for time. So they're all 8 minute mile people, but you have in your heart that you want to be a 7 minute mile person. You've got to go find some 7 minute mile and maybe even throw in a six, right? See what's different. This is that business example of going to 19 to 50 million is the same for your personal life. What the hell
Mhm.
do you want?
Man, that's good, Mike.
Just what do you want? Declare it, state it, go seek that. And that's one thing I'm purposely doing this year is getting in different rooms.
Can I
And
ask you a question, Mike?
yeah,
Why do you think most people prefer to have yes men around them?
comfort. We as human beings don't like being uncomfortable. And unfortunately, growth comes from being uncomfortable. Most people have convinced themselves that they're okay. which is really mind-boggling to me. The average American is overweight, divorced, and broke.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're comparing to, folks. It's mind-boggling. And again, it's the other thing I heard the other day. I heard something called the rule of 100.
Mm-hmm.
And the rule of 100 states is if you do something basically 20 minutes a day for a year, that's roughly 100 hours. And if you do anything for 100 hours, you will be better than 95% of other people doing that. So if
Wow.
you immediately want to be in the top 5% of something, practice 20 minutes a day.
Wow. So I've got a law that I learned last year that's very consistent with what you just said, and it's called Price's Law. Okay, are you familiar with Price's Law?
I am not. Let's go.
Okay. So Price's Law states that the square root of any domain makes up for 50% of the output of that domain.
Okay.
Okay. So we got 9 sales guys on the team. Square root of 9 is 3. 3 of these guys make up 50% of the production of that entire team. So now we start looking at, right? So to your point, right? If you 20 minutes a day, you end up better than 95%. So looking at Price's Law, you got 100,000 realtors.
Yep.
10,000 of those agents make up 50% of the production of the other 90,000. In real time, Mike, when you look at that, it's true.
Yeah.
In every industry. It's true. And what that means to me is that mediocrity scales exponentially and that excellence scales incrementally.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so you asked me, and I leaned on comfort.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think most people are okay having yes men and feel good people around them?
Honestly,
Of course.
that most people are cowards. Like
I
most
hope I
people
hope that hit hard.
like
Cowards.
most people are scared to pursue the thing that keeps them up at night. And so they live life by default instead of by design. And by living life by default, then everything else around you has to support the thing that you defaulted into. So, I remember back when I was trying to figure life out, figure myself out, find myself, if you will. And, you go out, you party, you hung over the next day, you call out of work, you talk to your drunk friend, they also called off. Well, that's just poor behavior that's supporting the other poor behavior. There's no accountability in that. So what happens is when you have subscribed to being a loser at a season in your life, you surround yourself with other people that are losers as well. Right. And so that whole the adage of misery love company, like it's a lot of truth to that. Because if you have anything else that holds you accountable, or any other people that hold you accountable in that season where you choose to live life by default, then it forces you to either deal with it and actually do different, or it just tears you up internally because you know that you're too coward to pursue that thing, and you constantly got somebody around you reminding you of what you're not doing.
Yeah. So let's talk about what you or I have done, what a few of other our kind of acquaintances have done. That break away from this, right? If we're cowards, if we're comfortable, I personally have only seen one thing work.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to hear if you have others, because I'm hoping there's more than one answer, but I've only seen one. Is at some point you just get tired of where you are. You're
Yeah.
just done. You just got to have this, and it's got to be a violent kind of, I'm fed up. That's not okay. I don't want to be here anymore. And it's a hard fork in the road.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's other ways to get out of it, but that's all I've seen work. Maybe that's just my nature, but what else have you seen?
Yeah, I'm grateful that I'm wired like you, Mike, to where I just got this thing in me that it won't allow me to sleep, knowing that.
Exactly.
I mean, seriously, like I can't. That's why procrastination kills me more than anything else. When I procrastinate to do the things that I know I need to do, it's robbing me of my present joy. is robbing me of my future joy, is giving me anxiety of desiring an outcome that I
You
don't
start to
desire.
vibrate.
100%. Like I gotta attack that thing, right? I gotta meet it. I gotta meet it head on, or I can't. I'm not at peace internally. I'm just my wiring won't allow me to do that. I can't act as if those things don't exist.
Right.
And man, that sent me off on a whole tangent right there. I was having a thing happening as I was explaining it. But I think that two things. One, people are either motivated by the opportunity of gain or by the fear of missing out. And I think for most people, the 1%ers are motivated by the opportunity of gain. The
Agreed.
99% typically are motivated by the fear of missing out. Now, until the pain, to your point, reaches a certain level, even the fear of missing out won't move them to action.
No.
But I think ultimately, and you and I both agree in this, that everything in life is really starting with the end in mind and reverse engineering, right?
Correct.
I think for most people, it starts with making a decision that
Okay.
this is what I want my life to look like. And with the decision comes a commitment. When you give yourself an option, then that means there's a choice, which means there's an either or. When you make a decision, the root word of decision is day, which means to cut off, right? So or side means to cut off, but that's the combination of the word decide, right? Is to cut off. So when you make a decision, you're cutting off any other option other than the one that you've chosen.
Yeah.
And for most people, I think they just haven't made a decision. They leave the back door open because they're too coward to make a commitment. Because with that, then your actions then have to align with your beliefs. What you told people you were going to do, you have to become in relentless pursuit of that. And most people don't want to look wrong. And so they leave them, they just waffle around in life, not understanding that. I mean, scripture tells us that God spits out lukewarm believers, right? Which means that even God himself wants people to make a commitment, right? And you got to commit, and then you have to take action based on that commitment.
Yeah. Well, let's try to make this actionable. What again? Tell me where. Just give it to me if you don't like what I have to say.
Yeah.
I think somebody who's comfortable today maybe can admit to being a coward, but will admit they want something, and I don't care what that something is: 6-pack abs, 6-figure income, happy family, loving. I don't care what it is. Find your thing.
Yeah.
My number one piece of advice for people, having now helped people for 5 years try to climb this financial mountain, is you got to get in different rooms. The
Yeah.
people you are around today suck. Go get in new rooms. I don't care if you want to be an athlete, go do that. If you want to learn a second language, go do that. I mean, whatever it is, go get yourself in some new rooms. That's my number one piece of advice.
Yeah. So actionable step for me. Now, I'm a man of faith. And so I'm going to say this to the believers that subscribe to it. This is the best way to go. For the non-believers, I'm still going to give you some action steps that just work because they're principle. Okay. So the first thing is we didn't create ourselves, right? So I'm always constantly in prayer asking God about what he purposed me to do, because he gifted me to do certain things, and he definitely gave me a purpose based on his will for my life. He created me for a specific will that's in his purpose. So prayer is a vehicle for alignment, right? So I'm constantly praying, seeking what is it that I'm supposed to do with this life that he gave me. Okay. Yep. In that, action steps. So when you first decide what it is that you want to do, I highly recommend that everybody build a Franklin T, right? Old school Franklin T. What do I have today that helps me do that? What don't I have today that helps me do that? And it's an honest conversation with yourself, right? Write it all out. These are my limitations. And the other part is that many people think from lack and scarcity than abundance. So that's why I want you to see both sides of it, because you have something today that you can start with, right? Absolutely. And I know you do, because you got a phone if you're watching this. You got a computer if you're watching this. You have the internet if you're watching this. So you have something that you can start with, even in the lack that you've identified. So once you do this Franklin T, now your job is to take action based off of these things. So for some of you, you're going to uncover, I don't know anybody in this field that I want to go into. So to Mike's point, now you got to start seeking out those rooms and those people. Yep. Phenomenal step number one. For some of you, you're going to find that you don't have the right people around you, right? And so you're going to need to start purging and clearing out your environment, because you got to get rid of the old to invite the new. Otherwise, it's a house divided against itself. It cannot stand, right? And so if it's and obviously if we had more time, we could get into specificity of if it's weight loss, if it's that. But the bottom line is, if you make a Franklin T, once you've clearly identified this is the life you want, and just understand this, in identifying what it is that you want, don't limit that piece. I promise you, if you limit that piece, you're going to screw the whole exercise up. Like, I want you to literally use your imagination. Think about those things that make you feel good. And I'm talking about, and as you think about them internally, you feel joyful, you feel inspired, you feel aspired, you know, and start writing that down. That's the thing. And if you sell yourself short on that part of the exercise, then you miss the whole assignment, right? I want you to literally dream about the life you want, and then put the Franklin T together and start taking action off of what you figured out that you don't need anymore and what you do need now.
This is why he's the man. This is why he comes back every week. This is why he will be at our Vegas event in just a couple of weeks. Brian, where can people find you?
Brian Adamson Official on YouTube and on Instagram. I love for you guys to come over, shoot me a DM. I love to talk and meet you as well.
There you go, folks. Send him a note on DM. Tell him thank you for coming back each week on One Rental at a Time. We appreciate you.
Thanks for having me, Mike.